Shuly, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Just a few weeks ago, we went to a beehive together, and now we have to do this over Zoom. Crazy world.
It is crazy world. And, I think that here we are, you are, in quarantine, I'm in quarantine. In today's date, I think that I just want to put it in perspective. Um, Over 1 million people have now contracted the coronavirus around the world. More than 50,000 people died from it. The United States is leading in terms of people that are contracting the virus, and there is a lot of unknown situation of how this is going to unravel and how it's going to impact. And I think that we're already seeing our lives being impacted, and we're already seeing that so many people are suffering from this, both health-wise as well as economic loss. And this is really the reality in which we're doing this interview. And so I'm happy to talk about what we're doing. I'm happy to talk
Definitely.
about, what I think, kind of what we're heading into, and the reality is like nobody knows. This is
Yeah.
this is the situation.
Okay, so I'm already upset that we only have 20 minutes for this discussion because I think we can
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
do
this
it
for
quickly.
hours. But I do have to say that we are very fortunate that in the place we are quarantined in and the facilities that we have around us. I have the privilege of taking this little guy now and raising him to be a mensch of a dog. And a lot of people are suffering around the world, and I saw.
Yeah,
We almost have, I think, like 7 million people filed for unemployment in the U.S.
yeah.
And now I have the privilege of talking to one of my favorite venture capitalists, and I just want to hear any. First of all, I want to hear about you and how did you even get to UpWest? What is sort of your mission and what's been happening now, and more importantly, what's happening now? We're in April of 2020, something that the world really, that this new world has never really seen at this magnitude. I have to hear your take because to me it's much more interesting than anything else I hear on the news right now.
Yeah. So I think that, quickly about UpWest. So we've been around for 8 years. I started the fund together with my amazing partner, Gil Benalzi.
Love Gil.
We started UpWest here in Silicon Valley. This is where we live. But for the last 20 years, I've been working on the Israel-US tech junction, spending a lot of time helping founders break into the US market and finding customers and growing businesses and creating really global companies. With UpWest, we felt that at the early stage, pre-seed and seed, we can really create impact for Israeli founders who are heading to the US market. And this is what we've been doing for the last 8 years. We've invested in over 80 companies. They raised, over $1 billion. Some of them, are really category leaders in their own domains. And we've been fortunate to kind of write the first check for many of them, and help them scale and build their businesses here in the US. And
Surely, one
that's
thing that I'm fascinated about, we're here in Palo Alto, and one of the biggest goals up until now has been to attract Israeli founders and bring them here. How do you do it from here? Don't you have to be in Israel for that?
So lucky for us is that just like our companies, UpWest is a cross-border fund. We have a team in Israel and we have a team here. And, this whole situation today of coronavirus, we realized, impacted so many people because all of a sudden they had to start working remotely, utilizing technology such as Zoom and Slack and all these. That's something that we've been doing for years, right?
Yeah.
We've been working remotely for years, and so are many of our entrepreneurs. So our entrepreneurs, have been working with distributed teams, engineering in Tel Aviv, business in the U.S. for many years. This is how they run their businesses. So the impact on many of them And the impact on us has been really kind of minimal because we've already established these cadences of work.
So what's happening on the greater scheme of venture capital and startups from your take, from your point of view?
So I can tell you that, this is, as bad situation as it is, there are a few things that I can tell you I feel super fortunate about in this situation. Number one is that we are in California and we are in Silicon Valley. And I think a lot of people kind of love to criticize Silicon Valley for being some sort of a bubble and having kind of a detached view of the world. In many ways, the optimists live here, and we all know that. And I think that so for many reasons, I feel that every day, I get up, I see the news, I'm really depressed about it.
Yeah.
But my conversations, my one-on-one conversations, both with entrepreneurs and with tech executives, it starts with the situation is really bad, and we're seeing the economy kind of taking a dive. But very quickly, it turns into what's the opportunity? Where are we going to build the next amazing companies? What are we going to create in different categories? How has this impacted the lives of consumers? How has this impacted the lives of enterprises? What kind of things now are on the front burner of the typical CIO of a big enterprise, a manufacturing site, a hospital? What are they going to do right now, and what is really important for them? And so having these conversations on a daily basis is really, I think, refreshing in light of we're heading into what many people think is a year-long, before we even going to start to get back to normal. Another reason that I feel really fortunate, is that my last 2-3 weeks have been 90% of conversations have been with my own portfolio companies. And the conversations are not easy because they went from a mindset of growth and hiring and aggressively going after new markets to a place of having to contract all that, to a place of having to freeze hires, to lay off people, to reduce their projections and the milestones, to having to deliver news like that to their employees. And that is on one hand really tough conversations to have. On the other hand, I'm so inspired by how they've been handling it. And I'm so inspired because the true strength of entrepreneurs come out in times like this.
Yeah.
These are the entrepreneurs who they take action really quickly. They assess the situation really quickly. They don't pause. They collect information from as many people as possible. And the most important thing is, and I think that this is number one thing that I really want many founders to understand, is your communication skills in times like this is the most important thing. How frequently are you communicating with your employees, customers, and investors? And how do you communicate? And that's what I see in the last 2 weeks in many of the founders that we've been working with, and our portfolio CEOs. And that's what gives me, I think, a lot of hope and a lot of confidence, and I think a sense of a sense of pride in what we're doing on a daily basis.
So Shuly, I can't help but I go on my feed both on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I see a lot of people quoting, 2008 gave birth to so many unicorns, and so many VCs are, while a lot of VCs are sort of closing their door and saying see you in 2021, a lot of them are saying let's double down on our investment, let's use these opportunities. And you have a pretty interesting take on that. So why is there such a big discrepancy on the two extremes?
if you look at the previous recessions, and I think I'm old enough that I've experienced both 2000 and 2008. Actually, 2008, I was an operator. I was running an organization. I had to lay off staff. I had to deliver my board the news of we're totally changing directions, and we cut salaries to everybody, and
Wow.
we had to just totally rearrange everything that we've done. And I think that's what will happen here as well. It will happen here for startups. It will happen here for enterprises. It will happen here for everybody. People will have to just completely adjust to new reality. I think that what I've seen in previous recession is it took about 2 years for things to kind of, slowly come back to a situation where people are excited about investing or having confidence in certain sectors. We have a lot of conversations right now between us. When I talk to colleagues in the venture capital, world here in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of conversations with each other on, where do you think, the next growth will be in the economy? What are we seeing in digital health? What are we seeing in online education? What are we seeing in manufacturing? What are we seeing in cloud infrastructure and cybersecurity? All these areas that we know, automation, these are areas that we know that will not take a big hit right now. There actually are the kind of solutions that people would want to see continue. So there's a lot of conversations and people assessing situations in various industries. Obviously, some industries have taken a big hit. Travel, hospitality, construction, real estate, all of these. But I think we're too early in the process to really understand the extent of how this will even impact, the typical tech companies, even tech companies that are now doing really, really well. So I do think that we're going to...
Sorry, but I have to ask, is this a time when people are going to sit back and reflect and sort of assess whether they're doing the right thing? And are we going to see a spark of innovation as a result of this? That when things do get better, people are going to be more critical of themselves. They're going to have more time to talk to their employees and customers because they sort of stopped running forward and they just took some time out to think?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are in right now, as I mentioned, entrepreneurs, strong entrepreneurs do, extra communication right now with their customers. And when you do extra communication with your customers, and many of them are now available to talk to, you learn about their pain. You learn about, what is the underlying pain that they have that is maybe different in times like this. That now enables you to adjust your product, adjust your what's prioritizing, right now in terms of what you're developing versus what you've developed up until now. So I think that listening to customers right now is what you need to do. We will see incredible innovation in times like this. We will see people that are being super creative and how they are approaching their markets. We're going to see entrepreneurs that that are really coming out of this really terrible times, helping a lot of industries to digitize. Just think about that. Think about how many people went to work from home, all of a sudden realizing they don't have the right infrastructure to run their operations. How many enterprises don't even have cloud infrastructure that allows them to have their employees work from home? How many of them are concerned about privacy and cybersecurity and all of those things in times like this when hundreds of their employees are working from home? What about education? You're a student at Stanford. Look at that. How many schools, elementary schools and high schools don't have the infrastructure to offer instruction remotely? So we're going to see so much, so many solutions that are targeting these kinds of situations, and I think that's kind of the excitement, and I think that we can have in times like this, as horrible as it is right now.
So from your standpoint, when you're thinking, okay, we're gonna get back into things and we're gonna open our doors again, do you already have some idea of what types of companies you're looking to see, or what types of industries you're looking to invest in? And has this changed as a result of Corona? Are things going to shift more to different industries?
I can tell at UpWest, we've been super focused on having a very diverse portfolio,
Yeah,
as you
very.
know, and you know a lot of our companies.
Yeah.
We have a very diverse portfolio of
From
companies, and I think
cybersecurity
that
to bees to e-commerce, I mean, all across the board.
so I don't foresee a lot of change for us, because we've been very enterprise focused
Yeah.
type of investors, less consumers, less real estate and things like that. I think that most of our investments have been in providing solutions, in the cloud, taking AI into different areas, having companies that providing that both to manufacturing as well as energy, as well as
Yeah.
different kind of industries, agricultural technologies, as you know, IoT, things like that. And obviously we've always been with our ears to the ground on what's percolating, and I think we're going to continue to do that. We just have a policy of talking to everyone, right? So we see about 1,000 startups a year, and we have a policy of seeing everyone, talking to everyone. We have a team in Israel. You met Leah, and she was an incredible energy, and between us, and our team, we have the privilege of really seeing founders that are now thinking about, what should I work on, and what are the things that in the market are going to be, adapting new technologies, what areas in the market will be open to, try a pilot with me, in my small company. So I think that we're not going to do much adjustment in terms of our areas of focus, but as I mentioned, there are a few areas that definitely will take a lot more opportunity than others, and we're watching these areas just like everyone else.
Do you feel in some way a sense of responsibility as one of the people that fuel this innovation and this tech industry? Because you are. I mean, you're on the side that really fuels it, financially speaking.
Yes, I mean, I think that the number one thing is, like we've seen in our work is thinking about solutions that, number one, have ability to impact certain industries, and the impact is important on many levels, both
Yeah.
in a sense of, will this be a good impact? We've done a few investments in healthcare technologies in the last year. We started to see entrepreneurs in Israel really, thinking about this space a lot and providing a lot of great new technologies, whether it's patients monitoring, which we all know now is like the most important thing, as well as how do we really create an environment within the hospital to be able to process data and share it with research.
Yeah.
And these are the two things that I think that we see now in coronavirus times, how much it's really important to invest in things like that. And I think that we're gonna see more and more of investors and VCs thinking more about the kinds of investments they want to make because of where we are today. Because we know that there are many industries that are not efficient, that are not providing the services and the care that they need to. Look at our food supply. Look at our supply chain that is broken.
Yeah.
So I think there are many opportunities in these areas, and then we can't wait to talk to smart founders who believe that this is what they want to disrupt.
Definitely. Well, I'm very hopeful that one day I can be one of those founders and come pitch to you myself.
Well, you're a member of the family by now.
Beautiful. Before we leave, Shuly, I need 3 words that describe you. Sorry to put you on the spot, but that's how we do it.
Oh my God. 3 words that describe me. I would say I'm an optimist.
All right.
I would say I'm extremely persistent.
There you go. 1,000 companies a year. Yeah, that's persistence.
And I'm curious.
I love it. Shuly, thank you so much for taking the time for this.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait for the next one.
Beautiful.